Hey guys, so somebody's up early, extra early today because somebody decided it would be a good idea to let the kittens sleep in bed with them last night. And it didn't pan out as I had hoped it would. So anyway, I'm here super duper early in the dark to make my video for the day. And there is a topic that I wanted to call your attention to so that you could evaluate this particular thing in relation to your own dissatisfaction in life, your own feeling of lack in some area. This isn't going to apply to everybody, but it definitely applies to a lot of things, and it is something that even if you're aware of it, you can lapse back into again and again and again and again. Sometimes, when you look at your life, you focus on a part of it that is not working, while at the same time failing to admit to yourself, or just maybe even failing to recognize, not so much admitting, it's just you're missing it or you've forgotten, that if that thing were in your life, you would not want it. And it's like, for me, this is one of the biggest sources of just completely useless misery. You know, there were times, especially in the past, where when I was younger, I'm 45, when I was, in my mid-30s especially, where I would look around at my life and be like, I'm like wasting all the best years of my life. I want to go out. I want to, I had this idea of a different lifestyle that I wanted to live, which I eventually manifested the exact perfect partner for that scenario and hated it. And it's like, this wasn't a fantasy. This was an idea that has nothing to do with me and what I actually want to be doing on a day-to-day basis. It's just an idea. But there was, before that, I had the idea that I wanted that, and I would think about it and think about how I didn't have it and think about how I was, the years were like wasting away and all of that. And the simple fact of the matter was, at that time, if the opportunity for that exact life had presented itself at that time, I wouldn't have wanted it because I wasn't in the right place for it. When I eventually did create that reality, a lot about me had to change first to even get to the point where I actually wanted to be doing that stuff. And then when I was doing it, when I was going out all the time, I was like, man, I'm really a homebody. I kind of just want to be home with my cat. I didn't have a cat at the time, but metaphorically speaking, I just want to be home with my cat. So this is really... this is another one of those things that is a plague for people, and you can easily miss it. And even if you're aware of it, you can easily miss it. So if you're new to that idea, if you haven't explored that idea, it's worth looking at. If you're constantly thinking about how you don't have a partner, and then, that's just like on your mind all the time, but then you look around your life and you say, I work all the time. I wouldn't even have to, how would I even do that? Or, I'm spitballing with my own life. Or I'm not comfortable with myself, and I don't think I feel up to the task of that even. Of course, this isn't going to apply to everybody or every area of your life, but I'm just giving you examples of how you can ruminate on and focus on and obsess over and just sort of like drag yourself down into thoughts about the fact that you don't have something right now. And then when you stop, you realize that you're not even ready for it. You're not even where you need to be. There are all these psychological distractions. Human psychology is very interesting. It's just, there are so many of these little pitfalls where your mind comes up with a sneaky way to keep the focus off of change, to keep the focus off of you. You're like, oh, okay, well, I need to do X, Y, Z before I'm ready for this thing. And sometimes those are also imaginary. Sometimes if you look at those closely, the things that you feel you have to do before you're ready to have something, you'll realize there's nothing there. There are so many ideas where when you really look at them and sit there and just kind of, scrutinize them, I guess, just looking at them, just allowing the idea to be in your head for longer than a few seconds of whatever this thing is that's preventing you from moving forward, you realize this is a total farce that is just masking fear. I think there's a real fear of change, and that's related to the fear of death and other things that we all grapple with. And that's at the heart of just about everything. So, I guess I'm always encouraging people to spend more time thinking about themselves, like thinking about their, the structure that they've created for how they're thinking about things, because that stuff is very strong if you don't look at it, and it's very weak if you do. That's the funny thing about it. And there's just sort of this fear that if you're not aware and you're not doing things purposefully in this area, I mean, you can go for years having beliefs that are running your whole life that are false, or like they're just nothing. That's the weird thing about a lot of these things. You can lose years to that for no good reason. I mean, nothing is wasted. That's one of the things my ex always says. Nothing is wasted. So when you go through a time and you're just like, man, I could have, what could I have done if I had known this 20 years ago? Or look at all that time wasted. Nothing is wasted because, all this experience is valuable in the end. But, there's stuff you can do. And one of the things you can do is don't be afraid to look at the whys behind everything you're doing. Why do I want this? Why do I think this way? Where did I get this idea? That kind of thing. But anyway, to the original point, sometimes there are things that you need to change before you would be in a place to happily enjoy and receive the thing it is that you want, like a great relationship, or like, a more prestigious occupation. Sometimes there are things that you need to work out first, and you know it. But instead of putting the focus on those things, or whatever you would need to do, maybe it's taking the focus off of those things. I don't know, whatever the case may be. That's highly personal. All of this is highly personal. Instead of doing that, you spend a lot of time focusing on what you don't have, that were it presented to you in its most perfect form right now, you wouldn't feel ready to have it. Just something to think about, nothing to get too excited about, but it's just a good thing to think about, because everything that's stopping you from getting what you want is mental. And the way this stuff twists around, it's just like, it's like human psychology has this amazing way of, it has all these protective mechanisms, that may or may not be useful to you, but they do definitely produce all these barriers to moving forward, and especially in areas where progress has been slow, tedious. So anyway, I hope that helped somebody. I mean, that's one of the huge things for me that I've got, kind of realized over the last decade and a half, is how often any kind of dissatisfaction I'm feeling is coming from the awareness of not having something without the accompanying sort of relieving awareness of realizing that that's not something I actually want in my life right now, or I would have it. Yeah, sorting out true desire from fear is it's a daunting task sometimes. So I don't know, go easy on yourself and have a great day.